I'm a very big fan of the Freddy Krueger films, but I have to say that the second A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Revenge, is probably one of the weaker links. That's not necessarily to say that it's a bad film as such, but I feel like it's just not as scary or as intense or as immersive as some of the others, and certainly not as the third one. So if you watch the first film and like it, but you don't like the second film, I'd say still carry on with the others, because certainly the third film is amazing. The second film was released in 1985, and this one's directed by Jacques Sholder and written by David Chaskin, based of course on characters by Wes Craven. And we have Robert Englund back as the fantastic Freddy Krueger. And I have to say, the title Freddy's Revenge, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because really the first film was Freddy's Revenge after what people had done to him, but I guess they're all Freddy's Revenge really. This one focuses around a teenage boy who starts to obviously dream about Freddy Krueger, and Krueger begins to almost kind of possess him. And again, it's sometimes hard to know what's a dream and what's reality, and because he's possessing this teenager, it's kind of like there are two Freddys in a way, and we have the Dream Freddy and then the Earth Freddy, and I think the interaction there with other characters is great, because you never know when Freddy is going to take control. And I think that's something that's quite engaging. That's an aspect of it that I really enjoyed. I think Mark Patton is great as Jesse Walsh. Robert Englund, obviously fantastic as Freddy Krueger. The thing that I just don't like about this, or that just didn't really do much for me, is mainly just the fact that it wasn't as scary. And, I do like the fact that he is trying to possess a human. Well, that sounds weird. He is a human, really. He's trying to possess this boy to take over the real world as well as the dream world. And I think that step up is really effective. It's not just a complete mirror image of the first film with a couple of different characters. So I think they did very well with the narrative. I just think the fear factor could have been ramped up. It's Certificate 18. It's supposed to be really scary. But I feel like one of the things about Freddy Krueger that I like is that he uses a lot of jump scares. And I'm not the biggest fan of jump scare horrors because I find them cliche. But with this kind of film, it works, because you never know where Freddy is. And I think that's really effective. But it just doesn't really have enough to it. It's engaging. It's enjoyable. I was entertained enough from start to finish. I just feel like it wasn't as brilliant as the first film, and not as good as the third film, and so on. So I definitely recommend it, particularly if you like the original Nightmare on Elm Street. If you haven't seen the original, definitely watch that before this one. Because I just think it makes the most sense to do that. Honestly, it's a really good film. It's not a great film, but it is good, and I did like it. It's got 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is fair enough. It's a decent enough film. If you're on the fence about watching it, give it a go. I don't think you'll be too disappointed, but don't expect anything as spectacular as the first one.